Good afternoon and welcome back to another episode of The Longing, where today, you guessed it, we are once again going to be continuing to read Homer's Iliad and getting just that little bit further every day. So, let's begin. Book 8, Argument. The Second Battle and the Distress of the Greeks. Jupiter assembles a council of the deities and threatens them with the pains of Tartarus if they assist either side. Minerva only obtains of him that she may direct the Greeks by her counsels. 189. His balances the fates of both, and affrights the Greeks with his thunders and lightnings. Nestor alone continues in the field, in great danger. Diomed relieves him, whose exploits and those of Hector are excellently described. Juno endeavours to animate Neptune to the assistance of the Greeks, but in vain. The acts of Teucer, who is at length wounded by Hector and carried off. Juno and Minerva prepare to aid the Grecians, but are restrained by Iris, sent from Jupiter. The night puts an end to the battle. Hector continues in the field, the Greeks being driven to their fortifications before the ships, and gives orders to keep watch all night in the camp, to prevent the enemy from re-embarking and escaping by flight. They kindle fires through all the fields and pass the night under arms. The time of 27 days is employed from the opening of the poem to the end of this book. The scene here, except of the celestial machines, lies in the field towards the seashore. Aurora now, fair daughter of the dawn, sprinkled with rosy light the dewy lawn. When Jove convened the senate of the skies, where high Olympus's cloudy tops arise, the sire of gods his awful silence broke, the heavens attentive trembled as he spoke. Celestial states, immortal gods, give ear. Hear our decree, and reverence what ye hear. The fixed decree which not all heaven can move, thou fate fulfil it, and ye powers approve. What god but enters yon forbidden field, who yields assistance, or but wills to yield? Back to the skies with shame he shall be driven, gashed with dishonest wounds and scorn of heaven. Or far, oh far, from steep Olympus' throne, low in the dark Tartarian gulf shall groan, with burning chains fixed to the brazen floors, and locked by hell's inexorable doors, as deep beneath the infernal centre hurled, 190, as from that centre to the ethereal world. Let him who tempts me dread those dire abodes, and know the Almighty is the God of gods. League all your forces then, ye powers above, join all and try the omnipotence of Jove. Let down our golden everlasting chain, 191, whose strong embrace holds heaven and earth and main. Strive all of mortal and immortal birth, to drag by this the thunderer down to earth. Ye strive in vain, if I but stretch this hand, I heave the gods, the ocean, and the land. I fix the chain to great Olympus's height, and the vast world hangs trembling in my sight. For such I reign, unbounded and above, and such are men and gods compared to Jove. The Almighty spoke, nor durst the powers reply. A reverend horror silenced all the sky. Trembling they stood before their sovereign's look. At length his best beloved the power of wisdom spoke. O first and greatest, God by gods adored, we own thy might, our Father and our Lord. But permit to pity human state, if not to help, at least lament their fate. From fields forbidden we submiss refrain, with arms unaiding mourn our Argives slain. Yet grant my counsels still their breasts may move, or all must perish in the wrath of Jove. The cloud-compelling God her suit approved, and smiled superior on his best beloved. Then called his coursers, and his chariot took. The steadfast firmament beneath them shook. Wrapped by the ethereal steeds the chariot rolled. Brass were their hoofs, their curling manes of gold. Of heaven's undrossy gold the gods' array, refulgent flashed in tolerable day. High on the throne he shines, his coursers fly, between the extended earth and starry sky. But when to Ida's topmost height he came, fair nurse of fountains and of savage game, where o'er her pointed summits proudly raised, his fane breathed odours, and his altar blazed. There from his radiant car the sacred sire of gods and men released the steeds of fire. Blue ambient mists the immortal steeds embraced. High on the cloudy point his seat he placed. Thence his broad eye the subject world surveys, the town and tents and navigable seas. Now had the Grecians snatched a short repast, and buckled on their shining arms with haste. Troy roused as soon, for on this dreadful day the fate of fathers, wives, and infants lay. The gates unfolding pour forth all their train, squadrons on squadrons cloud the dusky plain. Men, steeds, and chariots shake the trembling ground, the tumult thickens, and the skies resound. And now with shouts the shocking armies closed, to lances, lances, shields to shields oppose. Host against host with shadowy legends drew, the sounding darts in iron tempests flew. Victors and vanquished joined promiscuous cries, triumphant shouts and dying groans arise. With streaming blood the slippery fields are dyed, and slaughtered heroes swell the dreadful tide. Long as the morning beams increasing bright, o'er heaven's clear azure spread the sacred light. Commutual death the fate of war confounds, each adverse battle gored with equal wounds. But when the sun the height of heaven ascends, the sire of gods his golden scales suspends. 192. With equal hand in these explored the fate of Greece and Troy, and poised the mighty weight. Pressed with its load the Grecian balance lies, low sunk on earth the Trojan strikes the skies. Then Jove from Ida's top his horrors spreads, the clouds burst dreadful o'er the Grecian heads. Thick lightnings flash, the muttering thunder rolls, their strength he withers and unmans their souls. Before his wrath the trembling hosts retire, the gods in terrors and the skies on fire. Nor great Idomeneus that sight could bear, nor each stern Ajax thunderbolts of war. Nor he, the king of war, the alarm sustained, Nestor alone amidst the storm remained. Unwilling he remained, for Paris' dart had pierced his courser in a mortal part, fixed in the forehead where the springing man curled o'er the brow, it stung him to the brain. Mad with his anguish he begins to rear, paw with his hoofs aloft and lash the air. Scarce had his falchion cut the reins and freed the encumbered chariot from the dying steed, when dreadful Hector, thundering through the war, poured to the tumult of his whirling car. That day had stretched beneath his matchless hand the hoary monarch of the Pylian band. But Diomed beheld from forth the crowd, he rushed, and on Ulysses called aloud. Whither, O whither, does Ulysses run? O flight unworthy, great Laertes' son! Mixed with the vulgar shall thy fate be found, pierced in the back, a vile dishonest wound. O turn and save from Hector's direful rage the glory of the Greeks, the Pylian sage. His fruitless words are lost unheard in air. Ulysses seeks the ships and shelters there. But bold Tydides to the rescue goes, a single warrior amidst a host of foes. Before the coursers with a sudden spring, He leapt and anxious thus bespoke the king. And with that, we come to the end of another episode. So, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, or night. No matter what time of day it is, I hope you all have a wonderful one of it. And as always, we will be back tomorrow for more of The Longing. Goodbye.